Hello there, welcome to Wellbeing Wednesday. This week's tutorial focuses on the presupposition that mind and body are all one system. I will demonstrate this by materialising at the top of that hill to show you the superhero pose. So that was the superhero pose. What that looks like, I've got my legs in a nice wide base, similar to a snowboard position or a boxing stance. Back straight, hands made into fists, positioned on my hips. I'm looking upwards and I'm looking to the upper third of my eye line. Now, there are physiological reasons why all of this works. So, a wide stance makes me feel strong. Straight back, broad open shoulders help me to breathe full deep breaths, which helps me to be physically strong, which in turn makes me feel emotionally and mentally strong. By looking upwards, I'm accessing the visual parts of my thought processes. If you look into eye accessing, which is a part of NLP, it comes into IEMT and loads of other therapeutic activities that you can do. But a simplified way of thinking about this is one side of our mind creates, the other side recalls, and we do this visually, auditory, kinesthetically. So if we're looking down, we feel it. If we're looking up, we see it. One side will be imagination, the other side will be memory. So I look to one side or the other depending on whether I'm aiming to remember something really positive that happened, a time when I did whatever I'm about to do that's challenging really successfully, or I might be imagining that I'm somebody else doing it, or a future version of me that's got past that point. This technique has been proven to help people feel more confident in high stress situations like business negotiations or performing surgery. If you Google the superhero pose, you'll find a whole load of stuff on that. There's TED Talks and all that kind of stuff if you want to know more. So I'm not going to talk too much about that. And start to have a think about how we represent in NLP this idea of mind and body being one system and working together. So this is the reason why breathing exercises that you might come across when you're thinking about something like mindfulness are so effective. Our physiology informs our thought processes, which informs our emotions. Our emotions drive our thought processes and drive our physiology. So it's really difficult to actively concentrate on one thing and impact on it. For example, it's extremely challenging for me to impact upon the way I'm thinking about a certain thing by just continuing to think about it. But if I recognise that I don't like the way that thought process is going, I might look at the behaviour from when I handled something a bit better and start to adopt some of that behaviour, which is what the superhero pose is all about. So we want to feel like we've got superpowers when we're going into a challenging situation. So superhero pose works perfectly.
In NLP, we use the Mercedes model to demonstrate how our thoughts, our feelings and our behaviours interact and impact upon each other. The way we use this model is we have a look at the way we think and the way we feel and how that informs and affects the way we behave. Also, our behaviour and our feelings affects the way we think. And it works all ways round. So, by gaining control of one aspect of the Mercedes model, we get the opportunity to impact upon the other two. So, just to give a little bit more detail, let's have a think about controlling our behaviour. So we can break our behaviour down into posture, how we hold ourselves, gestures, what we do with our hands, expression, facial expression. That also includes the eye accessing stuff, the language we choose to use, which we'll focus on a little bit more next week, and our respiratory responses. This is a little bit of a grey area because we have some control over our heart rate, breathing rates, but not total control. As it's something we can influence, but not totally control. The other areas though, they're just things we do. And we can choose them. And that will have a knock-on effect on our thoughts and our feelings. This is the fundamental reason why the superhero pose works. Let's have a look at thoughts. We can gain a better understanding of our thoughts by thinking about the self-talk, what we say to ourselves, our internal monologue. Imagery, anything that we're imagining and seeing inside our own heads, and any sounds that we might be hearing inside our own heads. This is the reason that I like to think about this sort of stuff in an outdoors environment, because out on the trails is literally my happy place. This stuff is applicable in all aspects of life, not just cycling. It's just that for me, that's where I'm at my best. That's where I perform better mentally. So that's why I go out and do that. And that's to do with influencing these thoughts. Again, by consciously affecting our behaviour and consciously affecting our thoughts, that's the best chance we've got of having control over our feelings. Let's have a think about our feelings and what that means in a little bit more detail. So we've got emotional and physiological feelings. Our physiological feelings are things like we feel short of breath when we get tired. Directly links to behaviour, also heavily influenced by our thoughts. And then there's our emotions, how we represent something, whether it's positive or negative. The neurochemical responses that our bodies get when we are angry and when we're excited are extremely similar. It's our emotional state that decides whether we're excited or whether we're scared. That is controlled by our thoughts and our behaviour, so that can have a massive effect on our feelings, and which emotion or physical feeling leads to the next, and what the knock-on effect of that is. So keeping this in mind and being aware of an exercise like the superhero pose gives us an opportunity to create our own little models and patterns that we can use to control our perceptions of the world and how we do things. So I haven't produced a worksheet this week, but I'd like you to take this idea of the Mercedes model away and have a think about the behaviours of a state that you'd like to be in, to change your feelings and to change the thoughts you're having about a particular scenario that you're dealing with. It's entirely up to you what you pick. If you'd like to talk to me about it, feel free to get in touch. Otherwise, I will see you next Wellbeing Wednesday. Thank you very much.